All right, guys. So I've been making YouTube videos for about 10 years now. And what I've decided to do was make behind the scenes commentary tracks for every single video I've ever made. So now what I'm planning on doing is sitting down and watching every single video I've ever made all over again and just talk about like behind the scenes commentary and like little like Easter eggs or like stuff like that. And basically what I want to do is just have like a fun watch party of all this stuff and kind of just talk about like what's good, what's bad, what I could have done better, what videos are still good, which videos are not as good, stuff like that. And yeah, fuck it. 3, 2, 1, fuck it. Boom. So, Ocarina of Time was the first video I've made about Uncivil Synopsis, for the format at least. I did make videos before this point, but this was the first video I made that actually would like had this specific format. And basically the goal of this format was, or like this show, quote unquote, was that I just wanted to like play a game from start to finish and just either like rant and make funny jokes about stuff or just review certain gameplay things as I came across them, basically just from start to finish. And there's really no like rules besides that. Yeah, and basically I guess the challenge I had with making videos during the time, at least like that even back in 2014, was like, how the fuck do I even make like video game reviews that people actually give a shit about, or even like approach from a unique perspective? Because even back then, like, this game has been talked about so many times. How do I approach it from a unique angle and make it fun? So the goal was kind of just to like play the game and kind of just point out like really hyper-specific things that I find funny or make me laugh. Like, this is a really good example here where like, because I grew up playing the game and I was completely illiterate and didn't know how to say words. So I'd call Saria Sarah. And I think I even like mentioned like called the Gorons like Goragons and shit. Like, and that's just the kind of stuff that I want to point out to like sort of make this video more personal to me and just shit that like would make me laugh. And I also wanted to like, I don't know, just like, just make funny videos. And that was kind of just the overall goal. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, but I'm saying it anyways. Fuck it, bro. I got 24 hours worth of videos I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to be saying some dumb shit and just saying hella... What the fuck am I even doing in this video, bro? I put fucking Steve from Blue's Clues, like the Death Mountain's having a fucking seizure. The editing on this is like super like... It's I'm definitely still like a very much of an amateur at this point of making YouTube videos. Like, I'm kind of just like, I have all the tools in my belt and I'm just kind of just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point in time. This is a pretty funny part of the video where I'm talking about like running directly to the castle gate before it closes. And this is like kind of like one of the inspirations I had for this video was like this specific moment, because it's something that like everyone who plays this game experiences, especially on replay, but you don't really like think about it. And that was something that I wanted to like talk about when I made these Uncivil Synopsis videos, was kind of just bringing stuff up like that. But yeah, when I made this video, especially back in the day, I was so bad at like scripting my own stuff. Like, I was still, I think at this point I was probably like 6 months into making YouTube videos. I made like 10 or 15 videos prior to this one that I've unlisted and removed from my channel because they were terrible, and I'll talk about that later. But basically what I would do is, these were the most ghetto-ass butchered videos ever. I had zero script. All I would do was basically have bullet points of like, not even jokes, just like, okay, here's the structure of Ocarina of Time. It's like Deku Tree, fucking Death Mountain, like Jabu Jabu's belly. And like, okay, this is, and it, like, that is literally it. It would just be like, okay, I'm going to talk about the Forest Temple, bullet point, Forest Temple. And like, I had no script whatsoever. I had no fucking idea what I was going to do or what I was going to say, but it kind of works for this game specifically because I've played this game 5 billion times in my head. So sort of in a way, like the entire video was scripted like in my brain because I've like written these jokes in my mind after playing Ocarina of Time like 15 times over the course of like since I was born. So surprisingly, despite how terrible it is, I think this video has aged like pretty well in comparison to some of the other older Uncivil Synopsis videos. But yeah, all I would do with these videos is I'd have my bullet points of like fucking nothing. I would press record on my software, on my audio software, with a blue snowball microphone. It's like a USB microphone that sucks fucking ass. And I wouldn't edit any of the audio or anything. I just press record, and then I would just leave it on recording for like an hour, and I would just rant. I would just rant about and just say anything. And I would just like drag the raw full audio file into like a pirated copy of Adobe Premiere, and then I would just cut it up into something that's half coherent. And I would take the raw video footage of emulator footage that I recorded off my college laptop, and I would just cut that with no music in the background or anything. No music in the background or like no like anything like that. Like this is all just like raw audio files of just the gameplay. I guess audio of the game. What the fuck am I saying? But yeah, that's how jank these videos were. And I kind of was doing that to my advantage because I was so bad at making videos at this point that the kind of slapdash shitty nature of these videos in particular, kind of like played into my strengths. I'm basically just like taking advantage of the fact that I have no video skills whatsoever. Yeah, and it was totally like, and you can kind of tell like especially back then, like the editing is super random. I don't really have like a style, I guess. Like, I mean, I do have like an idea of what I want to do, but I'm kind of just completely throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. And that's kind of why it is kind of funny that way. So like here's a good example. Like I've done this bit before in like other Zelda videos where it's like, oh, you got the 3 things, And in the later Zelda games, like I talk about like in Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, I actually like make that into like a coherent joke because I actually start scripting the videos at that point. But at this point, I'm kind of just like, I have these sort of jokes in my head and I'm just throwing shit everywhere and just like, if it works, it works. And yeah, especially at this point in time, like, yeah, I would just like, I think I might have had like 100 subscribers or something. Like pretty much no one was watching my shit during the time. But, yeah, this was like this awkward period of time where like I wanted to make funny videos and you're like, so like no one's watching your YouTube channel at all. So like you do that classic amateur YouTuber move where you start like, I don't know, like embarrassingly posting your videos to like the Zelda subreddit or some shit. Because you're just so like desperate to get feedback because you spent all this time making a video. But then like what ends up happening, then it's like the video shit. But people find, I mean, to be fair, some people found it funny, and I did get like a couple like drip feeded like 10 subscribers or something. But if I could give any advice to people starting out, I would just say, bro, just like focus on yourself, do your own shit, and then like just get better on your own. Like don't like you probably shouldn't do that. Like you shouldn't like post your videos to Reddit and shit, because if you have to do that, like the video is probably not super good. And eventually, I think I stopped doing that in like, I don't know, maybe like 2015 or so is when I stopped. Once I got like a decent amount of subscribers where I could actually like upload a video and people could watch it, then I'm like, fuck it, I don't care anymore. This is also a funny example of why the script, like why having no script is like so dumb. Like I think literally at this part of the video, I talked about like how Sheik was a chick, because in my mind, I know Sheik is Zelda. But like when I'm ranting, I'm like obviously you're supposed to think that Sheik's a dude at this point. And that's just like the kind of example that like if I wrote a script, like a lot of that shit wouldn't fly, you know? Like there's a part earlier in this video I was talking over where I talked about how like young Link swims down through Zora's domain and like pops out of Lake Hylia, and it doesn't make sense on the map because you're traversing the entire world map. But then now that I think about it, now that I'm revisiting this video, it's basically just like the world is just a globe and you're just going the other direction off screen. And I don't know, it's like the kind of stuff that I probably would pick that up. Like if I was writing a script, I would probably like pick that up later or like tell the joke a little differently. But still despite like a lot of problems with this video, there is like fundamentally a lot of good material here that I think kind of saves it. And I think it's because I've played this game so much and I've like downloaded this game into my brain. I think that's why it's I kind of end up saving it despite how like terrible I am. Classic tennis match. Zelda tennis match shit.
That's the first boss. Okay, and then Sarah's the sage. So you find out Sarah's the sage. That's pretty tight. Whatever, Sarah's the sage. 7 years later, like
yeah, this is pretty funny how I keep bringing up like how I don't fucking call Saria by her name. And the editing, and although the editing is all over the place, I think it kind of works with how janky and shitty this video is. This part of the video is really funny, and you might not notice it not because I'm saying Gorgons instead of Gorons, which I didn't even bring up at this point, but also because when I was making this part of the video, I was watching a Mega 64 podcast on my laptop while I was playing the game. And what ended up happening was, I think it's because I was recording the footage, it was just basically recording the podcast into the gameplay footage. So when I like pulled it up in the editor, I was like, oh fuck, this part of the video is all fucked up because now like the podcast audio is going into the gameplay footage. So what I ended up doing was I just downloaded like the background music and just plopped it in, which is why at the Goron City section, you can't hear any of the background gameplay music or like the sound effects. And that's how jank this video was. This is the most cobbled together shit. There's also some moments in this video where, because I was playing on an emulator, I think like the mouse cursor was also showing in certain sections, because I think I like might have had some like ghetto pirated version of Fraps or something, or I don't know what the fuck I was doing during the time. But essentially, there's like a setting you can usually do on your like any like sort of like desktop recording software where you can either hide the mouse cursor or keep it available, or like keep it shown. And I think for whatever reason, like whenever I would like boot up my laptop again, like the setting would click itself off or re-click itself or something. And I think so there's just a lot of dumb moments like that in this video that like weren't salvageable. And I think there's even the moment like way earlier on when I show the chicken to the farmer dude to get into the castle the first time. I think the reason I zoomed in so far was because the mouse cursor was on the screen, which is why the zoom in kind of just makes no fucking sense. Now, here's a really interesting part at the water temple where I'm talking about why it actually sucks, because you have to like constantly go back into the menu to like switch between the iron boots, which goes to show if I was capable of making decent points during the time if I actually put in the efforts. But I don't know. I think maybe I was just a little like insecure during the time, or like wasn't as confident to like make like an actual proper review to make that interesting or something. I don't know. Here's another funny example of the kind of stuff I wanted to bring up when I was reviewing games in general, is how like the Zoras just get totally fucked over for no reason because the Nintendo 64 can't fix the issues with Zora's domain being unfrozen. So that's funny. Good joke. Good joke, Sam. That's a funny joke. Good thing bringing that up. Again, that's the kind of shit that I think saves this video overall. But yeah, with these commentary tracks, I actually went back and rewatched everything, and I kind of got like some like bullet point notes on the side. So ironically, I'm kind of like revisiting the same structure I've been doing with this video. I'm kind of come full circle. I have my bullshit bullet points where I don't really have anything to say, and I'm kind of just yapping. But yeah, I rewatched all these videos, and this one was surprisingly good for how like, despite like the technical limitations, of course, like the fact that like the audio sounds like shit and like the footage is janky and like the editing is like weird, like the foundation is here. And I think the reason I wanted to start with the reason I came to this format specifically was because the videos I was uploading before this during the time, like I was kind of just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. I've said that like 3 times now, but whatever. But basically, I had no fucking idea what I was doing, and I ended up making, I think, the only video from that era, that like dark age prior to Uncivil Synopsis, that like no one knows about, was I uploaded a video about Star Fox 64 of all things. And I did it in this kind of same format. I don't even think it was called Uncivil Synopsis during the time. It was like explaining Star Fox 64. And like, I was making this like completely random videos, just like, what the fuck do I do? Yada, yada, yada. And then I kind of like sat back like in this, like after this like drug fueled haze of putting out these bullshit videos. I'm just like, what the fuck am I even doing? So I sat down, I kind of just re-examined what I've made. And I was like, you know what? A lot of these videos are shit, but this Star Fox 64 video, it's like, there's something here. I kind of like this one. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to make videos like this Star Fox 64 one. And I'm like, and now I'm going to start with Ocarina of Time. And that was basically the plan for Uncivil Synopsis. Here's a funny moment where the mouse cursor is obviously on screen and I'm zooming in for no fucking reason. And it'll be much more obvious later. I think there's one section where it's actually on the screen, and I'll actually pause the video to show you guys. But anyways, what the fuck was I saying? Yeah, so the format I had for Uncivil Synopsis was based off that one Star Fox 64 video that's no longer on the channel. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, Jesus Christ.
and then Sheik's basically just like,
That's a funny little edit in the background.
so then you come back as a kid using
Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look at the fucking mouse cursor on the bottle. What the fuck? How did I not notice there was a goddamn mouse cursor on the bottle? What the fuck am I doing? I bet no one even noticed that, but I saw that and I was just like, God fucking damn it, dude. I put a, why didn't I just, it's like the most generic footage ever of me just like walking to the spirit temple for no reason. And there's a fucking mouse cursor on the screen. I'm a fucking idiot. Okay. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Boom.
that she taught you, and you meet this dumb bitch who's
Again, here I'm zoomed in because this is like 10 seconds later and the mouse cursor's still on screen.
dumb fucking kid. Go
I mean, ironically, it is kind of a funny edit.
and she gets fucking cat.
And I've done edits like that in the past
Okay, so
where like
you get the gauntlet
I'll do those like cutaway dialogue
that you got.
moments, especially in like the modern like Yakuza videos. I'll do that shit a lot.
You go progress the dungeon, and then you fight
So again,
the mini boss. The mini boss
this video is shit, but the fundamentals are there.
badass as fuck.
And I think that's why it's still like a good watch, despite it being so terrible.
Find out that she was the Iron
And while it's technically not my first video on YouTube, it still carries that energy
Witch, and there's an ice witch.
because I was still very, very novice at this point in time.
Was the sage of the spirit temple? Ooh, big fucking surprise. Okay, so
And of course, like classic shit where like, I feel like everyone who enjoys
temple time.
YouTubers and like, they'll always go back and watch the first video that you make. So you don't want it to be like something that's super shitty, which is why I think a lot of people end up like deleting videos and stuff like that. Because, bro, my older videos before this were like trash. They were garbage. Because I did not know what the fuck I was doing. Like, totally like, I think I have a list somewhere. I'll talk about it later at a later point in time, just because there's kind of, I don't know. I'll talk about it later, right? And when am I going to talk about it? Well, you better watch every single video I make on these behind the scenes commentary tracks to find out. That's right, bitch. Like and subscribe. What do you guys think of Ocarina of Time? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Anyways, I'm not doing this shit. I'm not a good YouTuber, by the way. I feel like that's also been kind of the core of this channel, is just me being a bad YouTuber and just self-sabotaging myself, because especially during the time I was not trying to like become a YouTuber. I very much knew, like, especially like during this specific time in 2014, like all I've ever heard about was like, wow, this YouTube shit is like really unstable, and like you can't even swear in videos, and like Nintendo was like copy striking all your channels. And so especially during the time, like the only thing I cared about was like, I want to make a funny video, and as long as it's on YouTube and people can click on it and watch it, I don't give a fuck. Because I just want to make funny stuff that makes me laugh and, you know, fuck everyone else. That was like my only goal with the channel as a hobby. And I very much still carry that energy moving forward. And it's definitely bitten me in the ass because obviously, you know, I make like, I don't know, just the kinds of videos people don't want to make that I find funny. And we'll talk to those when we get there. Which videos am I talking about? Well, you gotta watch all the parts to find out. Over 24 hours of behind the scenes commentary, you're gonna watch the whole fucking thing. 10 fucking years on YouTube. And I'm committing to it. And there's gonna be parts where I'm gonna have like nothing to talk about, but I'm gonna do it anyways. God, Ocarina of Time is such a fucking cool game, dude. It's such a cool game. God, dude, the final boss fight with Ganon is so fucking sick. Like, even... Boom, bitch! Yeah. Some editing. Again, some smart editing decisions where, like, I'll say, like, boo-joo-joo, psh, and, like, I have, like, some decent timing on cuts and stuff. So, overall, this video was pretty good. I will say, like, obviously, like... there's definitely a lot of technical limitations, but like I think if you're like a fan and you go back, it's like pretty good. Okay, now I want to talk about this thumbnail. What the fuck is this shit? What was I doing? Okay, so I want to talk about this specifically because I'm not going to have the opportunity to talk about this because I think I quickly start adopting like the modern end card thumbnail. So I guess during the time, and this is definitely a product of those older videos that have been erased off the channel, where I wanted to flash the end card and then play like some random audio. Maybe like it's based off the game or it's like a music track or something. That was sort of like the vision of the original title card. Now, there are a couple of references in this title card that I don't have in later videos. Like the top, it says like the authoritative, the indispensable, the essential HyperCharge. What the fuck does that mean? Well, this is actually a very niche reference to Calvin and Hobbes, which I am a huge fan of, the comic strip, the newspaper comic strip, Calvin and Hobbes. And essentially, there was a soft cover book collection which had those same exact subtitles, the authoritative, the indispensable, the essential. And I think you can find a soft cover book of like the authoritative Calvin and Hobbes, the indispensable Calvin Hobbes. You get it, right? Now, what's interesting is the author, the comic strip artist, Bill Watterson. He's kind of like he's a really cool guy. I'm actually a huge fan of him and Calvin Hobbes and Whole. I love that comic strip. But he put out like a 10th anniversary book, ironically, because I'm doing a 10th anniversary behind the scenes commentary track at the same time. But he put out a 10th anniversary book, and he would have like the comic strips and like little like notes of like, oh yeah, this strip, yada yada yada. And it was really cool. I love that book. And in that book, he talked about those soft cover Calvin Hobbes books with like the authoritative, the indispensable, the essential. And he essentially said the reason he titled it that way was because they were like redundant covers. They were like redundant books, which featured all old comic strips that were already in like previous softcover books. So he kind of titled it that way because they weren't like that. And that was the energy I'm bringing to this stupid ass YouTube channel. Okay, this is all redundant. I'm talking about Ocarina of Time, the most popular game ever made. Everyone's already talked about it. Everyone's reviewed it. Everyone's played it. And yet here I am trying to fruitlessly add something to the conversation. And that is like the ethos of HyperCharge as a whole, and especially the energy I bring in these earlier videos where like, yeah, like I'm kind of shit. I know I'm shit. But also, my videos are the best, which is completely, what the fuck? It completely, the quote at the bottom completely contradicts that beginning part. A masterpiece in video game discussion. I'm the fucking greatest. I'm the best. This was the most important video ever made. Okay, and that completely contradicts the subtitles at the top. So, what the fuck? What does that mean? I don't know. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know. What am I saying? Also, yeah. Also, I guess like the core of these end cards is I'd put the Game Boy sound effect. And the reason, again, I'm a huge fan of Meg 64. They have their end card where it has the public access TV like boop. And I wanted to do something similar to that later down the road, and that's why I ended up adopting that at some point. But before, I like wasn't doing that At this point, I wasn't doing that. I was still doing like just random music or sound effects and stuff. But we'll get to that later. Also, fun fact about this old thumbnail card is this font that I use is actually the font from Zelda 2. And what I mean by that is it's not the same font that I downloaded the font file of. It's literally the same font that I screen captured from Zelda 2 and just blew up to write HyperCharge, which is why the font is like slightly blurry, because I just put it into Photoshop or like GIMP and just made it bigger. That's how jank I was making these YouTube videos. So yeah, and again, the reason I came across this Zelda 2 font was because I made a video on Zelda 2, and we'll talk about that later in these commentary tracks at some point. I'm not sure when, but whenever I'm going to talk about it, I'm not going to tell you when I talk about it. So you're going to have to watch every single video to figure out where it is. And if there's a comment that tells you where it is, I'm going to delete it and ban them. That's right. Yeah. Fuck you. All right. Yeah. So that's the video. Overall, Ocarina of Time, Uncivil Synopsis, very good first episode. I'm very proud of it. Yeah, obviously not the best video ever made for the channel. It's obviously has a lot of technical limitations, but I fucking love it. It's a classic, bro. This is a HyperCharge classic video. Classic ass shit. All right. Next video.